I know how painful it can be to hope for something every single day and to see your heart broken every single day. I'm even trying not to cry right now. I know what that feels like. Okay, I cannot cry because I have makeup on right now. But I know what it feels like to wake up, to hope, and to not. I'm gonna have to pause the video because oh my god, I'm actually about to cry. The only thing that I'd say that really happens is that over time you draw strength, you start getting stronger, and you learn to be. I actually am trying super hard to not like cry because I spent time doing this makeup and it needs to look somewhat cute for you guys. Like, you know, you wake up every single day hoping that it will be different, but it's not. Hey guys, welcome back to the Power Closet. It's Space for Perspectives, where we discuss all things from faith, work, and friendship, and of course we also have fashion too. But anyway, thank you very much for stopping by at my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Tumi, and on this channel we have two types of videos. We have my vlogs, which is me just doing all sorts of random stuff, and then we also have Perspectives, where we discuss important topics, which is usually centered around faith, work, or friendship slash relationship slash all sorts of stuff in between. But anyway, without further ado, today's video is something that I've titled, well, the blog post itself is actually titled Immediately, but I don't quite know what I'm going to name this on YouTube, so I'm not gonna stick to that. If you are new here, I would really love it if you subscribe to my channel. I make videos 3 times a month, so the first week you ain't going to get anything, but then the second, third, and fourth week you are going to get 2 perspective videos, which is one of this kind, and then 1 vlog. And if you also, I'd also love for you to follow me on Instagram, where that is where you get a lot of fashion content and a lot of like chit chat and just get to know me on a more like intimate level. I don't know if intimate is the right word, but get to know me a little bit deeper. So to kick off this video, I'm going to do a bit of a recap. So last week, I know on YouTube we talked about, you know, trying something new, but the truth is that video was quite unplanned. I actually meant to schedule another video which was supposed to be titled Don't Open Your Mouth, or as I termed it on my blog post, it's called Share But Be Mindful. This video follows on very nicely from what I posted on my blog last week, which was titled Share But Be Mindful. So I'm going to give you guys like a punchline of what I was trying to communicate. We live in a world where everyone is like sharing your story, and I'm like a big believer in that, right? Like I'm always saying share your story, but I believe that we have to be mindful about how we share our stories. I think something about sharing is you need to be very like I hate that term, you need to be. I think something that's quite important is knowing when to share and when not to share, and that was something that we discussed and explored in last week's post, which is why I titled it Share But Be Mindful. And you know me, I say this in almost every single video, that I'm a woman of faith, so I tend to use a lot of principles and I tend to use a lot of examples that are drawn from the Bible. And the person, ironically, the person that I work with on the TPC team, when she was like editing, she had like this birth of inspiration. She used a character in the Bible called Zechariah. Little did she know that that was the same character I was going to be using in this video, so I'm going to call that a godcidence, as in coincidence, but not coincidence, because it's actually godcidence. So within Share But Be Mindful, we touched on Zechariah, and Zechariah was a devout priest in the Bible. He was someone that worshipped the Lord, like literally worship the Lord. I once read a study which said that the writer Luke, who wrote the book of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles, that he has 30,000 words in the book of Luke, and he only uses the name righteous 4 times. Yeah, 4 times out of 30,000. Now, with respect to it being used against people, righteous is used against 2 people alone in the book of Luke: Jesus and Zechariah. So that should give you like a bit of a bit of weight as to how righteous and how good Zechariah was. But in last week's post, and Share But Be Mindful, we talked about how Zechariah was a man that was waiting on something from God. He wanted a child desperately, and God had kept him and his wife in this period of waiting and not seeing anything. And at some point, when he eventually encounters an angel that the Lord sent him, the angel then finally tells him what he's been waiting for all his life, that you're going to give birth to a son. And because he's been waiting for so long, he's filled with like doubt. He just can't believe it. I don't even think he thought that thing was an angel. It's like, is this an angel or am I seeing double? Am I like, am I seeing something else? And that doubt earned him an extra 9 months of silence. God made him dumb. So in I keep saying don't open your mouth because that was the original title, bear with me. In share but be mindful, we see that the Lord actually closes his mouth. And whilst people might say, oh, this was evil, we actually took a different twist and we said, in a place of sharing prematurely, we don't know why the Lord silenced him. Perhaps if he shared about Elizabeth being pregnant at such an old age before the child was born, we don't know what people would have done to Elizabeth. We don't know what people would have said. We just don't know. Like, I'm from Nigeria, and there once used to be a time where they used to kill twins because they thought twins were evil. So in such a state, imagine if a woman was pregnant with twins and she went to go and share, they will come and kill the woman or kill her and her babies. So we don't know what the cultural background was in that time. Let's even not even say that God closed his mouth because of culture. But I would just say that naturally, when God takes someone into a place of solitude, it's usually to build them, to make them, get prepared for the manifestation. But because once he speaks something, the promises surely will come to pass. So we ended don't open your mouth, or rather share but be mindful, on the tone of when you're in a place of solitude, it's to build you. Sometimes sharing instantly is actually not a very good strategy. It's very good to lean on your spirit and to know when to share and when not to share. But now I'm going to ask you a question. What happens when they open your mouth? What happens when they open your mouth? What is the response that you get? So I'm going to take you back to a couple of months ago. I remember this was like around October in 2021. He started bringing a particular word to my attention, and the word is immediately. It was becoming spooky. Like, I was seeing this word every single where. I don't mean just in the Bible, like everywhere, in conversations with, like, I'll go out with one of like my big sisters. We're having dinner in this like really cute restaurant in Mayfair, and she started talking, and I noticed that the line of conversation she was having was around what God was also trying to tell me. Immediately. Even, and I was like, God, like, what's the fuss? Like, why do you keep telling me this word? And I then continued reading my Bible. Ironically, I was reading the book of Luke, and as I read one of the chapters, I'll find the verse that I picked up on the word in the Bible. I saw that word again. Immediately. And then it finally clicked what he was trying to tell me. And I'm going to tell you how it connects to what I shared last week. So imagine that you are Zechariah. We've established that the theologians and all the people who study the Bible said that Zechariah was a man that was highly righteous in the eyes of the Lord. Imagine that you're Zechariah. You have been waiting for years on end. I can't remember how long he had been waiting for a child, him and Elizabeth. You now finally get the promise. They now give you an additional 9 months of your mouth being closed. How would you feel? So Elizabeth gave birth to John the Baptist after 9 months. And on the day of his naming, the Lord had told him through an angel that he should name this child John. So when they asked his mother, what should we name the child? She said his name shall be called John. And they were like, you can't name your child John. It was untraditional. You had to name him someone. You had to give him a name that was already in the family. And then she was like, no, his name will be John. So they motioned to Zechariah, who was still dumb and silent, and were like, what should we call this boy? And he wrote, his name shall be called John. And immediately he said that his lips were loosed and he got up and praised God. So let's pause. I don't know what you picked out from what I just said, but I remember I read it and I said, God, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. So immediately his mouth was let loose. Immediately God let him out of his doghouse. He just jumped up and started praising God. As in, he had been in a place of waiting for years. He finally got a word from God. God gave him an extra 9 months of silence. After all this time, his first response was praise. And then God was like, to me, I need you to do that. I said, I hear me, please. That's basic, I'm Yoruba. That's like my end, like I'm basically lamenting. I'm like, excuse me, that's not possible. Because I was like, Daddy, this one is going to be very, very difficult. You know why? Because you know how I am. You know I'm someone that moans. Okay, I'm a moaner, right? I don't do immediate praise. And I was like, yeah, you're going to have to change that. I need you to be like Zechariah. So what does this actually mean? And what am I trying to get at? I know how painful it can be to hope for something every single day and to see your heart broken every single day. I'm even trying not to cry right now. I know what that feels like. Okay, I cannot cry because I have makeup on right now. But I know what it feels like to wake up, to hope, and to not. I'm gonna have to pause the video because oh my god, I'm actually about to cry. A part of me wants to like pause the video and like look perfect, but I just felt a nudge to keep going because we don't do perfection on this channel, and this is me being vulnerable, right? I know what it feels like to wake up every single day, to pray about something, to put your best foot forward, and guess what? Nothing happens. I know what it feels like to fast, to pray, to worship, and you know what happens? Nothing happens. The only thing that I'd say that really happens is that over time, you draw strength, you start getting stronger, and you learn to be. I actually am trying super hard to not like cry because I've spent time doing this makeup and I need to look somewhat cute for you guys. Like, you know, you wake up every single day hoping that it will be different, but it's not. So when God was drawing my attention to this thing and he kept saying to me immediately, I was like, this is actually a huge ask because I have been waiting. I like got a word from you and then you gave me additional 9 months. And you know what is so funny? As I'm even like talking now, I'm even realizing how similar Zechariah and I are in some instances. So I had been waiting on the Lord for something. I think it was almost a year, right? And then in September, he gave me a word that bought me an extra 6 months. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, are you going to leave me hanging? I called you my just-in-time prom days. Are you going to leave me on the high seat when you promised me something? And I guess when I think about Zechariah, I don't know what it took for him to be able to give God praise after being faithful for so long. He didn't like utter words of anger, words of why did you make me go through this for so long? Like, what is the point of all of this? Ah, gosh, Tumi, stop crying. But bear with me. This is quite an emotional one. So I guess what I'm speaking of, like what I'm trying to say is Zechariah, he had been through it. And when he then got what he had been waiting for, the first response was praise. An attitude of praise. That is what I'm leaning into you guys to say today. Have an attitude of praise. And I know it is painful. Like, it's like to me, do you know what I have been through? Do you know how many tears I have shed? Do you know how much I have tried? I don't. The truth is I don't, and nobody ever will. You can explain the story for 2 hours, but no one would ever explain. Like, how do you explain 5 years in 2 hours? How do you explain 20 years in 30 minutes? You see all these people give all these testimonies, and the testimony is like, what's 15 minutes? But you know that the scars that you have are things that run deep for like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You waiting, praying, fasting, and nothing happened in that period, and then suddenly your life changed. And that suddenly you're supposed to jump up and start praising and be like Zechariah. I hear you, I see you, and I know what it feels like. But as you come into your season and as you get closer towards holding all it is that he purposed for you to have, just praise. There's so many prophets in the Bible. There is only one John the Baptist. Think about it. Think about the character that you have to have as a parent to know that you are training the forerunner of Christ. I literally think of my babies and I'm like, that would be one heck of a challenge. But yeah, that is just my story for today. This is definitely one that is more faith-based. Even if you're not a Christian, I feel like there's something you can take from this, and it is one of your attitude. Right? After you've been chasing something for so long and it comes, the attitude with which you respond with is super important. Guys, I'm gonna have to do this as a cut. So today is actually Valentine's Day. I'm filming this on Valentine's Day, and you remember after my tears, my sister had just stepped out of the flat. She now goes and she buys me a Valentine's Day card to tell you how accurate God is. And the ending says, so the ending says, keep waiting in faith and peace and have a good attitude. She also said in her message that she prays that God surprises me. and gives me things that I didn't even expect. It's so crazy because you guys know that I was just crying and she didn't know that, and I was just talking about waiting and not seeing anything, and to keep having a good attitude, funny enough, even though you're waiting. So just me laying on the fact of what I was telling you about, just keep waiting, and when it does come, when the manifestation of what it is that you're hoping for does come, have a good attitude. And the God who surprised me on Valentine's Day and got my sister to buy me a card and affirm everything he had spoken in my spirit will do the same thing for you. But now I'm going to put the part where I'm telling you thank you for watching my YouTube video, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye guys! Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure you would enjoy my waterworks just a little bit. Thank you very, very much for watching. Subscribe, because it really, really does help this channel. I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.